Though I am free and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. Paul wasn't owned by anybody, but he chose to live like a servant. He laid down his preferences, his pride, his power, because he wasn't trying to win arguments anymore. He's trying to win people. Now let's circle back to the name change. That idea of 6 short words. Then Saul, who was also called Paul, introduced this new name. There's no ceremony, no big thunder from heaven, no big booming voice that says, "This is my guy," nothing. So what's going on? What just happened, Luke? It's pretty simple. Saul was his Hebrew name. Saul was the name of the first king of Israel. That name was connected to his tribe. Saul was rich in heritage for the Jewish people, rich in status for the Jewish people. Among the Jews, the name Saul meant something. It pointed to something greater. It connected him to something greater. But the truth is, he grew up in a Greek-Roman city. And so he had, forever, a Roman name, the name Paul. But Paul wasn't a special name among the Greeks. It was very common. It was a normal name. Most people assume that God changed his name when they blind him, but the Bible doesn't say anything about that. The only reference is Luke 13:9. And Luke spells it out perfectly. When we do some research into Jewish and Greek culture in the first century, we find that almost all of them that grew up in pagan cities or Greek Roman cities were devoutly Jew had 2 names. A Jewish name, family name, and a city name. But why all of a sudden would Saul, who's also called Paul, want to make sure that switch takes place? Well, he explains it. In a writing later on in his life, he gives us an incredible insight into why he would start using his Roman name, his Greek name. We find it in 1 Corinthians 9:19-23. I'll read it to you. This is Paul speaking. Though I am free and belong to no one, I have made myself a slave to everyone to win as many as possible. Paul wasn't owned by anybody, but he chose to live like a servant. He laid down his preferences, his pride, his power, because he wasn't trying to win arguments anymore. He's trying to win people. And the people that he had decided he was called to and would go to, they weren't Jewish people. They were Gentile people. They were Roman citizens. They were Greeks. They were people that still loved Aphrodite and worshiped Apollo and went to the Greek festivals all throughout the year and entertained themselves with all of the parties that involved all kind of wild things that you do when you celebrate and worship Greek gods. And he was going to them not as someone who had incredible authority with a name like Saul and a rich heritage, but just as one of them. I'm just an ordinary guy. My name is Paul. And so I'm here to create common ground. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to introduce you to Jesus. I'm not here to win an argument. I'm actually here to win your soul. He continues, to the Jews, I became like a Jew to win the Jews. When Paul was with his own people, he didn't flex his freedom. He honored their rhythms and their customs, not because he had to, but because he loved his Jewish brothers and sisters. To those under the law, I became like one under the law, though I myself am not under the law, so as to win those under the law. When Paul was around religious rule followers, he didn't try to prove a point by saying, guys, this is a waste of time. No. He stepped into their shoes so that he could create common ground and lead them to freedom. He met them where he was, or where they were, without losing who he was. He continues, to those not having the law, I became like one not having the law. Though I am not free from God's law, but I am under Christ's law, so as to win those not having the law. When he was with people who were far from religion, outsiders, skeptics, and pagans, he didn't judge their world. He entered it. Not to blend in, but to bring Jesus to it. To the weak, I became weak to win the weak. He didn't show up strong to impress people. He showed up soft enough to connect with them. I became all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. He's not saying that he's the one saving everyone. He's making the point. I'm going to do everything I can so that Jesus can use me to save people. It's not about being fake. It's about being flexible. And he finishes, I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in its blessings. See, Paul was chasing the blessings of sharing the gospel. So it wasn't a platform he was after. He already had it. Long before he ever encountered Jesus on the Damascus Road, he had a platform in the Jewish world as big as you can get. It was enormous. He didn't need a bigger platform. Everywhere he went, everyone stood to attention. What are you about to say? His platform was huge. He wasn't chasing more followers. He was chasing making followers of Jesus. You see, we finally start to see that God had answered his make me prayer. God answered it. Now, for Saul, who's also called Paul, it took over 10 years. 10 years in the making to finally get here. Now, some of you might say, I don't know if I can wait that long. Good. Because for the Christians at Antioch, it didn't even take a year. It didn't take a year. They got so mature, they were like, Saul, who's also called Paul, we don't even need you no more. Thanks. You can go on. It takes people different times. There's no set timetable is what I'm saying. But I am saying that one of the most famous people in all of Christendom, it took a decade. It took over a decade for him to get where he's at as we're reading. So it's okay. We're not in a hurry. We live in a tension of we're not promised tomorrow, but also the reality that I can't force you to make a legitimate change if you don't actually genuinely want to make a change. And so we sit in this tension of those two worlds of, do you want it? Is that something you actually want to give your life to? Or do you still want to wrestle with it some more? God had answered his make me prayer. So what happens when God actually answers your make me prayer? What happens when he actually does make you? If it's your first week with us, I'm not saying make me as in, why don't you make me? I'm saying, God, would you please make me? Would you remake me? Would you mold me into who you want me to be? Make me how you want me to be. So when he shapes you, when he makes you, what then? When he shapes you in hidden seasons that nobody sees, maybe just you and a close friend, or maybe you and your spouse. When he builds you through your disappointment and your correction and your seasons of waiting, what then? Do you stay there? Or do you shift your prayer? You see, I think this is where we get caught up, because we have this narrative that sits in our culture of, I want God to make me because I don't want to go to hell. And as long as I can get some assurance and some peace when I lay my head on my pillow at night, that's good. That's good enough for me. I don't need anything else. Like, I just want to sleep and be at peace with God. I just want you to make me into a child of God. Make me into an adopted person in the kingdom of God. Make me into someone that when your son looks at me, he would say, I know their name. Make me into someone that on the last day, when I have to stand in front of you, that your son will say, he's with me, she's with me. Make me into that person. And we're then satisfied. We're satisfied. We're like, yes, this is so great. I've got peace with God. I found a church. I love the church. This is great. Like, I love to go on Sunday mornings, and sometimes I like to sing, sometimes I don't, but it's so loud. I don't have to sing. This is good. I found a place. But if that's where we stop, we're missing it. The truth is, make me is never a final prayer. It's a formational prayer. It's a beginning prayer. It's a prayer at the start. But at some point, if you really believe he's making you, your prayer has to shift. It has to shift from make me to use me. The truth is, if he makes you stronger, it isn't just so you can feel strong. It's so you can carry someone else's burden. If he makes you whole, it isn't just for your healing. It's so you can step into other broken people's lives without yourself falling apart. If he makes you perseverant and steadfast, it's not just so people will respect how disciplined and determined you are. It's so that other people can meet Jesus because of your resilience. Church, the blessing of being made or being remade is not just what it gives you. It's what it prepares you to give away. And almost every single time, what it prepares you to give away is yourself.